Welcome to episode 28. This is Danielle Amos, and I'm so happy you're here today because on the Prosperity Practice podcast, I have my very first guest, and her name is Micah Folsom. I'm so excited because I've been working with Micah for a while. She's actually been a client of mine, and I met her through a friend, and you're absolutely going to love her. You're going to enjoy speaking with her because she understands this material, and actually she's in what we call an unconscious competent. I'm going to tell you more about what that means, but let's get Micah on right away. I'd love to introduce you to her. Hi, Micah. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, Danielle. I'm excited to be here.
So, Micah, I thought I'd tell our listeners a little bit about you, and then I'd love to hear from you, your story, and where you came from, and we'll go from there. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so everyone listening, Micah, she is a network marketing professional. She has an incredible team in network marketing. She's a leader, and in fact, a top leader in her company. She's also a mom of 4. She's from Idaho, and she's been in network marketing for 7 years. She has over 10,000 people in her downline. I love that. And I can't wait to hear what your goal is, actually. And she's personally sponsored over 300 people. It took her 20 months to get to the top rank in her company. And she's one of 7 to hit that rank in year 4. And she created a 7-figure business in just 4 years. I love stories like that. And I know it's not a race. Like, I'm in network marketing, so I get it. It's not a race, but what's really cool when I met you, Micah, is that right away, I knew that you had an understanding of what I teach about mindset. And I absolutely know that's a big part of your success. Would you agree?
I mean, yeah, I feel like mindset is the most powerful tool that we have in our belt. So, everything has changed since I started working with you. It just shifted like in a positive way. So I'm excited to kind of dig into more of that. But from the beginning, mindset has been probably my strongest asset in this business, because we all know how hard it is to deal with putting yourself out there and to deal with rejection and to deal with all of the things that so many people are afraid of. And if we don't get a handle on our head and our headspace early on, then that can absolutely be the biggest roadblock for us. So yeah, absolutely.
So what had you say yes to network marketing when you were presented with the opportunity? Tell me about that journey.
Yeah. So I actually was one that got into network marketing kind of accidentally. I honestly was a skeptic. I had a bad taste in my mouth from experiences that I had had with other people and how they approached their business and how they approached me with their product and with their opportunity. And I was like, just kind of like, ew about it. And that's how I came into it. But little did I know that when I got into, so I'm a part of Beachbody. And when I got into it, I was a customer. I was doing the programs. I was drinking the superfoods, and I fell in love with that. And that's why I became a quote unquote coach, so that I could just get the discount. And what I didn't understand was the power behind the model and just how it was set up around, look, if you help enough people get the results that they want and have the success that they're looking for, and can help enough people and make an impact, then your income will grow. And so early on, I didn't really study much about the business. I didn't understand the model. I didn't know what it looked like, but I fell in love with the process of helping people, of being on my own journey, of just really kind of finding my purpose in it all. And that's when I then dove into learning the business side and learning how to maximize the compensation plan and really taking it from a CEO standpoint, instead of like, well, I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants and see what happens. I really studied and understood it. And that's when everything really kind of took off.
That's really cool. You said something that's important that my mentor talks about all the time, Bob Proctor. He says that network marketing is the most fair compensation. So according to the law of compensation, we are compensated in direct proportion to three things: the need for what we do, how well we do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. And so if you think about that law and how network marketing works, it's the best business, because you're absolutely right. You make it to the top by helping other people be successful. So the more successful they are, the more successful you are. And it's the business model that's so in harmony with the natural laws of the universe, which when I heard Bob say that, I was like, oh my goodness, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that was
That's
thought of
really cool.
whoever started, network marketing way back, if that was a thing. But it's just, I can see that in you, because you absolutely love on your team.
Yeah, they're the best. I mean, and I think that's the most empowering part is I know what we've been able to do to really change our life with this opportunity. And I also know that this business in any industry, this opportunity doesn't play favorites. And literally, if you show up and you have the heart to serve and you put in, I mean, the discipline and the efforts and all of the things, like, it will happen. And I loved that. Um, just that, just knowing that and understanding that you could make whatever type of impact you wanted to, the same way that we've been able to change our life has just fueled every aspect of my business. So I don't know. I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. And your journey, 7 figures in 4 years. Did you see that coming?
No. um, yeah, I didn't. Well, what's interesting is early on when I started, my upline actually sent me a video of my upline like 3 generations up. And it was a video of her sharing her first $20,000 week. And I had only been coaching for a couple weeks. And she was like, hey, you should just watch this just so you know who this is. She's our upline, and just get familiar with who she is. And I remember seeing that and looking at my husband and being like, that is Monopoly money. There is no way that that's real. Like, how? But at that point, like, the seed was planted. And as I got to know, it was Mindy whose video I saw. And as I got to know her as a real human, and I got to see her lead, and I got to see how she worked, and I got to just know how down to earth she was, I was like, this is legit. She really did make that happen for herself. And at that point, that's when I was like, well, game on. Like, the sky's the limit. Who knows what's possible for us? I don't know how long it's going to take. I didn't set any like goal or stipulation as far as like, well, if we're not at this point, by this point in my business, I'm giving it up. I was just like, I'm just going to get to work. I'm going to get to work helping all the people that I can, and we'll see what this does for our life. And it's just kind of compounded, obviously, every single year.
That's incredible. And what's really cool about that is now you are what Mindy was for you. You're that to so many people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
It's so
cool.
weird.
It's so cool. So I mentioned earlier for our listeners that you're an unconscious competent. And what that means is Micah understands the laws and understands mindset, but she maybe doesn't necessarily know what she did to get herself the level of success that she got. And we see this with people. And I would in fact say that for most people at some point in their lives, they've used the principles in the right way. They've worked in harmony with the laws to get them a level of success, but they just didn't realize what they were doing. And so when I met you and we started talking, it was very clear to me. And so why I got so excited to work with you, because I knew then if I could help you fill in the pieces and understand it for yourself, then you would then be able to literally be able to duplicate it with in your team, and just like you would grow and exponentially grow your business, not only for yourself, but for all of those tens of thousands of people you work with. So what have you seen since, gaining some structure around mindset?
Well, I mean, you nailed it, because I knew obviously like what I was doing was working, but I didn't know how to duplicate that. I didn't know how to teach those mindset principles. I didn't know how to teach the habits that I'd created around the laws, and because it just felt right and it felt good. And so that was where the biggest struggle was duplicating that success with the people who had the desire, but just were kind of feeling stuck. And as I started working with you and really truly studying and understanding, obviously when I raised my level of awareness, I started to see all of the things coming into my life. I started to pay attention to those thoughts that came in that were in the same frequency as my goals and all those things. And I'm like, okay, it's not coincidence. It's not like luck. It is literally staying in vibration and understanding how to let the flow happen. It's just such a cool thing. And it all happened with raising my awareness around it, because before I was like, I don't even know. I don't know what I've done to reach this level of success. I just know I've worked hard. And that was like my motto, like hustle, work hard, like set non-negotiables and just get to work and make it happen. Like make it happen. But it can happen so much, not easier. It's not easier, but it's smoother. It's like it just flows better.
Flow.
Yes, absolutely. And so just the more I've learned about it, the more I've been able to teach my team and pour into them and help raise their level of awareness so that they can start to implement these things. And we've absolutely seen a shift since we started practicing this. So it's been a huge, huge blessing.
I think a lot of people can relate, whether they're in network marketing or another industry, to the desire to want to be in that flow. Because I think people, it's not like that they don't necessarily want to work hard, but they, like we all, I believe we all understand that there's work associated with success.
Absolutely.
But it's the desire for it to be in that flow. Like when I think about that, how things just can come to us. And yes, there's learning to get us past the obstacles. And in fact, the obstacles are the only way that we do learn, right, about ourselves. But I think there is a desire, from what I'm seeing on the outside in all industries, is that there's a desire for people to feel like they're in the flow or on the right path, and that they're really following, well, I think feeling good. And what I notice is in this work, when we are in that way, like you said, things don't necessarily get easier, but there is ease with it. And there's excitement. And it's that like high vibing feeling that people want to be around.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that you've been attracting more people that want that to your team now and to your community?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been a lot more open about sharing just this entire process and this entire growth journey that I've been on as I've started implementing and I've started understanding this stuff. I've started sharing more of it, like in my stories on Instagram and things like that. And absolutely, I've started attracting girls that are like, okay, I need this in my life. Like, this is what's missing. I know that like this is something that's really important to you. I want to learn it. I want to do it. I want to be around that. And so that's been really powerful, because I feel like it is such an important part of just any growth journey, just really understanding this. And what I've come to see is that most people go through the motions. They go through life with zero understanding of the natural laws and of what's really happening. And we take it as coincidence. We take it as like, oh, well, I got so lucky this month that I randomly found this girl and whatever. Whereas that is absolutely happening for a reason. And you guys came across and you crossed paths for a reason. And it's just cool to like, I feel like even for your confidence, and I think this is where my team is benefiting the most, is they're starting to, since their awareness is raised, they're starting to see these wins, and they're no longer like just when they sign a new person or they help a new person. That's no longer the only win. It is now when you cross paths with someone who you were wondering about a certain thing, and then you come across this girl who is talking about whatever you were wondering about. It's like, that is a win, and the universe has your back. Like, it really does. And I think just understanding that you have purpose in your daily process and everything is like proof of success on a daily basis. Those little wins, that's what builds confidence. That's what encourages consistency. And obviously all of those things are what lead to long-term success. So it's so exciting. yeah, it's just really cool to see happening for them, especially.
What have you seen? How has network marketing first impacted your family and your life at home? And then I'd love to hear how mindset, this work, has impacted your family.
Oh man. Okay. So this opportunity has completely changed our entire world. Um, when I started, I had a photography business. I was very successful with that. And so I had some purpose. I was finding joy in that, and I thought it's what I wanted to do forever. But what I came to the conclusion of was why I reached out and started my own health journey in the first place was because I was in such a funk personally. I was pouring into others. I was working. I was a mom. My husband was in the middle of veterinary school, and I felt like crap. And I'm like, okay, something's got to give. Like I don't want to be serving everyone else and then just always be the last on the list. So I finally decided that I just needed to take care of myself. I became a priority in my own life, and I had kind of put myself on the back burner. And the business in and of itself, I fell in love with, like, I truly feel like I found my calling. And when you can live your calling every single day, you're not in a job, you're not in a career. Like, you are literally living what God put you here on earth to do. And it's just such a blessing. And I can't even describe the difference in how I felt, how I show up as a mom, how I show up as a wife. Everything has shifted in our life because of this. And obviously, from like a family standpoint, it's completely changed my husband's career. Obviously, he's a veterinarian. He does exactly what he wants to do. He has his own business. He is doing what he loves every single day because he didn't have to worry about being the breadwinner and providing for our family. Like, he was able to branch off and start his own business. And for 6 months, when he wasn't like making all of the income, we were fine. And he didn't have to stress about that. So just knowing that not only is it absolutely changed my life, like, obviously it's blessed him so that he can do what he loves for the rest of his life. And then it goes generations deep.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest, the thing that is so easy to look over, but at the same time, understanding that my kids are watching what we do. My daughter is 11 years old, and she wakes up, well, we're all social distancing, like she's online learning right now and doing class home. And she wakes up at like 5:30 in the morning, and she gets her schoolwork done, and then she goes and does a workout all on her own. Like,
Wow.
not because I encourage it at all, but because she sees us doing it every single day. And it's just the trickle effect of like how that impacts them. And it's just we're just impacting generations. It's just a really cool thing to be a part of. Um and then mindset wise, holy cow. I mean, this is why I'm so passionate about just this work in general. I feel like I am completely different than when I started. When I started this business, I had never done a lick of personal development ever. I didn't even like understand what it was. I thought it was kind of like for crazy people. And it's actually, I put it off. So personal development is something that we do every single day as a coach. It's part of our kind of our vital behaviors. And I put it off for the first couple months because I was like, I'm fine. I'm happy. Like, I don't need that. I only have this much time to build my business. And that's one thing that I can kind of put on the back burner. And I learned really quickly that that was one thing I could not put on the back burner. And I absolutely needed it. And as soon as I dove into it, it just completely shifts everything. It completely shifts your perspective. It completely shifts how you see the world, how you see trials, how you approach struggle, how you deal with relationships. I mean, everything changed as I made that a priority. And now that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it as much as I can, because I know how life-changing it is. And you don't have to be a part of the business or the opportunity or anything to experience this life-changing transformation from implementing mindset work. Like, everybody needs it. It's so essential.
Yeah, that's really cool. One thing I noticed when I met you was how fast you made the decision to jump in. So I remember the conversation so clearly. And one thing that we teach is that leaders make decisions very quickly. And you're like, yep. And it was like done. I was like, that may have been the fastest decision maker that I've ever been on the phone with. But it's not a coincidence that you have that level of success and you make decisions that quickly as well. And so I think for those that are listening, that's a really good place to check in, because people say they want the results that you have. They say they want 7 figures. They say if they're in network marketing or an entrepreneur, they want the business that you have. They want the relationships that you have with family, with your family, and the freedom that you talk about. And then there's some key things where we can check in. So I would say for anyone listening, see where you're at with what you hear Micah saying. Maybe it's around how she's open to looking at herself and her perception and her perspective around, being open to personal development. Or maybe it is about how fast you make decisions. Just check in. And when I coach people, I say, stay objective, because we're not trying to, like, it's not that Micah is better than anyone else. She's really awesome. But it's like, it's just to recognize, if you want what the millionaires have, to check in what the habitual behavior and what is their mindset. So you can even hear in Micah's energy how enthusiastic she is about this work, about her business, about helping people. So notice where you can learn from her example. And then it's not that you're going to copy Micah, but you'll step into a part of who she's being with. It's almost like you're on your own self. Like you're going to step into, what would that look like for me to be that enthusiastic? Or what would that look like for me to make a fast decision? And how can I show up like that person in my own life? There's a lot to learn from even the way that you're showing up. Does that bring up anything for you, Micah?
Well, I mean, just the power of decisions. I know you mentioned, like, I feel like that's one of the things that I see when I'm mentoring people is there's a difference between hoping and wishing and kind of playing around with an idea, and then actually drawing a line in the sand and deciding. And it really is, the universe is literally waiting for you to make a decision. It is waiting for you to make that hard line, to then give you the resources, give you the people, give you the opportunities, give you the ideas, give you the thoughts, give you the energy, give you exactly what you need, because everything that we need is already out there for us. And I think the power of decision is something that most people highly, highly, highly undervalue, and they just kind of dance around it, and they try to convince themselves that they've made a decision. Just because you said yes, that's not a decision. Just because you've said yes to an opportunity, or yes to changing your health, or yes to a relationship, that is not a decision until you mentally, physically, emotionally go all in with committing to what it takes to then taking action on that decision. So if there is anything in your life, I think the one thing that you could take away from this is getting off of this podcast and going, okay, what do I actually want? And is there a decision that is waiting for me to be like, is waiting to be made, that will then allow me to take it to level up, to really take things to the next level and commit fully to what I want in life? Because I know for me, lots of things have kind of been up in the air. And the second I decide, it is like stars align. That's when people are like, oh, the coincidences happen, and I randomly did this. And it's like, no. That is not a coincidence. That was the universe going, okay, thank you. Thank you for actually showing me what you want and what you're committed to. And here is what you need to make it happen.
That's so cool. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people wait and they want evidence before they make the decision. Well, I'll fully commit when I see XYZ come together, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen until you've made the decision. And you're absolutely right. The universe is just like watching us, like God's like, thumbs are going around going,
Yep.
if she'd only make a decision, I can give her exactly what she's looking for. And for those listening, a decision means like shutting the back door. No way out. You're absolutely going to figure it out. And you have no way of retreating. Like you've burned the boats.
Yep.
We've heard that. Yeah. I agree. Decision's huge. So I brought this up earlier before we press record about the importance of community, the importance of surrounding yourself with big thinkers. And with a team of 10,000, I love it. So amazing. What's your goal, by the way?
Like as far as amount of people or what?
Yeah. How many people do you want to impact?
I've never even thought about that. Actually, what's interesting is when you asked me like how many people are in your downline, I had no idea. So I had to go look it up and figure that out. But man, we have so many people who need this community and this lifestyle and this opportunity. I would love to have at least like 100,000 in our downline. Yeah. So
I put her on the spot, everybody. So let's hold her accountable. 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good number.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah. When I think about community and what you've built, it's so important, especially with what we're dealing with right now, is that people have a sense of community, that they're surrounded with like-minded people who are big thinkers, who see opportunity. And a community that's strong always needs a good leader. And so I acknowledge your leadership. It's so awesome.
Thank you so much.
I want to encourage people to look up Micah, check out her Instagram, and we'll put it in the show notes so that you can find her. And if she resonates, reach out. I want you to ask her about what it takes to be part of her community and what that looks like and what benefits that a community like hers can bring you. Because here's the thing, we are sitting here, you might be sitting here listening saying like, that's a nice idea or whatever. But the thing is those people that have big thinkers around them, that are just have leaders and mentors pouring love and life and belief into them. Right now, I promise when all of this ends will be better than before this situation has started. And that's what I want for my listeners. Like, I want them to find their community, to make all of this the reason, like it was a good thing that it happened, and I'm not underestimating what is going on, and there's lots of illness and death. But for the people that are listening, we can have a choice to make it really like, I remember that this was the time that I joined that community, that when I made that change in my life, when I actually made a decision. And so for you, talk to me about the importance of community, the importance of mentorship and surrounding yourself with big thinkers. How have you seen that benefit yourself or maybe the people in your community?
I mean, it's made all the difference for me personally. I feel like we've all heard we don't know what we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. And so for so many people, we're kind of boxed in. All we know is what we grew up with. All we know is what we see around us. And until you really surround yourself with people who are almost like a level up from where you're at, you don't get to open your mind. You don't get to experience like those thoughts and those conversations and those actions that it takes. And I remember my second year in the business, we became a top 10 team. And so we earned this top 10 trip and we went to Paris, France. And so we got to hang out with the other 9 leaders. And at that point, there were coaches who had been in the business for 5, 6, 7 years. And I was a baby coach. Like I had been in the business a year and a half when we went on this trip. And I remember being in conversation with them. And at that point we were making like just right around $100,000 a year. And we were ecstatic. Like we were like, I can't believe we've hit 6 figures. That was like the ceiling that I had set for myself. And then we're in conversations with these girls that had been in the business and they were approaching 2 million a year. And I was like, what? Like, this is possible. The same thing that I'm doing is what you're doing. You've been doing it longer. So this is what that looks like if I commit to this. And so I just feel like if I didn't get to be in that environment, if I didn't get to surround myself with people who were ahead of me in the game and ahead of me in life and exactly going in the direction that I wanted to go, I would have never really seen what was possible. And it's just those inklings. Like I said, when I saw the video of Mindy, that planted seed of, okay, this is possible. This is what I have to work towards. And so I think that's the power of community, is like, if you're not where you want to be in life, find the people who are where you're at or where you want to be, who are like the feelings that you want to feel, living the lifestyle that you want to live, making the daily choices and the things that you want to make that you're struggling with. If you surround yourself with those people, you'll start to make those choices. You'll start to think their thoughts. You'll start to make the type of income that they're making. It's not coincidence that, I mean, the power of 5, your circle of influence, is very, very real. And so being really mindful of who you're hanging out with and who you're learning from and who you're feeding energy off of, I feel like is one of the most powerful choices that we get to make every single day. So community, I mean, the biggest blessing for sure is the way that this opportunity has just lifted the level of humans in our life, like the relationships that we have now, the friendships that we've created company wide and within our team. Just a huge blessing for sure. So find a community that you can vibe with, find somewhere where you can grow and continue to grow forever. Cause I mean, everyone needs it. Everyone needs it. You don't need to do life alone.
Yeah, that's great. And what a great message for right now as well. Thank you for that. So if there's one thing that, we've been working together for quite a few months now, is there one thing that you think my listeners should know about mindset? What would that be? What's the one thing that you've learned that's made all the difference?
Oh my gosh, that's like such a hard question. I would just say that mindset is everything. Everything. Like you can't control anything else in life like you can take control of your mindset. We have the choice to grow every single day. We have the choice to step into our next level version of ourselves. We have the choice to overcome fears. And I feel like over and over and over and over and over, as I'm in conversations with women, as I'm mentoring my team, you can know all the things and you can have all the tools and you can have everything placed in front of you. And if your mindset is not in the right place, if you're not strong enough to overcome struggle, if you're not strong enough to face your fears, if you're not strong enough or confident enough to step into your authentic self, nothing else matters. And so it's the one thing that's free. It takes no talent. It takes no amount of anything other than your willingness to commit to the growth process. And I think that's the best part, is anyone can step into their growth journey at any point, and all of the resources are here for us to grow and learn and develop. And it's the one thing that will absolutely change your life more than anything else.
What's interesting, when I heard you say that last part, I think I immediately thought of Napoleon Hill's quote, where he says it takes no more effort to aim high in life, to demand prosperity, than it does to fall back in poverty and misery. It's no more effort to choose prosperity, to choose abundance.
I love that.
Really cool.
I love that. And obviously I invest in my growth journey now because I see the value. And I know if I'm going to put money back into my business, it's 100% going to go into my growth journey. So, I mean, personal development seminars, investing, working with Danielle, like anything that you can invest into your own growth and your own development as a person will like 100 times pay off in business and in life, always.
Yeah, I found that same thing. The best investment you can make is one that's on yourself. The return on that investment is so high, right? And it's never, I'm often asked, would you put something on a credit card to take a promo? And I'm like, absolutely. That's the kind of thing I would put on a card, because I know that I can double, triple, to pay it off. And for some people, I think that the growth is in saying yes and betting on themselves for the first time, whether it's this work or even, starting a business with you.
And I think that's scary. That's scary for a lot of people, because it's that lack of self-confidence, even that lack of self-worth. They don't feel like they're worthy of that investment. They don't feel like they've quit so many other times. Why is this one time going to be worth it? Why is this one time going to be different? And it literally is as simple as just choosing and making that decision that this time is going to be different, and then committing to yourself and understanding that it's one step at a time, one day at a time, one choice at a time. And you absolutely can take control of your life and your situation. And I think just really taking responsibility, like this is a whole nother podcast, but taking responsibility of where you're at, the good and the bad. And if you are not happy with where you want to be in your life, then we all have the opportunity every single day to change that. And it really is simple as making that decision, saying, I want something different. I want something more, and I'm going to take action because I deserve it. And then moving forward.
And it's like my time. So you put that stake in the ground, and it's my time. Yeah. And if you're hearing this and you're resonating, let this be your sign that it is your time. Like there's a reason why you're listening to this. There are, like Micah was saying earlier, there are no coincidences. So that thought this conversation may have triggered that thought in your mind. There's a reason that was triggered for you. So take the action today and decide to take the action today, because procrastination is also a decision to wait. And that's most likely a habitual behavior. So you can change that by doing the opposite and making that decision. Isn't Micah amazing? Don't you think she needs her own podcast?
Oh boy.
Stay tuned. Well, I'm just so grateful. Micah, I'm so grateful that we get to work together, and you have an incredible team that I've been able to work with on a few occasions. And I'm just, the energy that your company, that your team brings is really impressive. And I know that it always starts with the leader. So I want to acknowledge you and thank you for being my very first guest.
Yay.
And if you found value, please let us know. Send us questions on Instagram. It's the best place. Micah, what's your Instagram for everyone?
It is at Micah Folsom Fit.
Awesome. So you can find Micah on Instagram, send her questions there. And myself is at _Danielle _Amos _ and we'll put all this in the show notes for you. We're just so glad that you listened to us today, and we honor your time. And with that, I say expect abundance.